Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So I hold on. I had we okay, so we didn't do coffee and chat last month because we do it the first Saturday of every month. And last first Saturday fell on July 4th weekend. So we didn't do coffee and chat. So we haven't had coffee and chat since June. And it feels like it's been forever. So I haven't been recording anything or anything at all. And I logged in to StreamYard, which is who I actually use to broadcast to you, wonderful ladies. And it had like all these new little features and stuff. And I was like, wait a minute, hold on. That's why you should always just I don't know, test run, go in for a minute, whatever. I don't know. But they had this one new feature. So normally when I get ready to go live, gotta hit the go live button. Then I gotta hit the button for the little intro. Then come on. Then I gotta remember, okay, play the little outro when it's time to end. But they got this set up now where you could put it all together and just hit go live and it does all your stuff for you. So I'm excited about that. So I don't have anybody on with me this morning. I did not It's just been a busy time. So I did not um like go send anything out. Like I sent one email out this week to remind people, hey, we're back on for August. So I'm sure many of you will actually be watching this on the replay, which kind of sucks because I like to engage in the comments. I like to be able to ask you guys questions and you tell me what you want to talk about. So even though I have a topic today, the last time we met, I didn't have a topic, and I feel like that format worked so good because I was able to feed off the comments. So since there are no comments today, and I'm looking a little puffy too, I'm tired. Since there are no comments today, I probably won't even stay on long. I will briefly talk about um, what I said I was going to talk about. So when I sent the email out canceling the coffee and chat for July due to the 4th, holiday, I put in there something about um, we'll discuss it on the next coffee and chat, but I had to go back. I had to go back because I couldn't remember what I put in the email. I was like, what did I tell them we were going to talk about? So I was looking through I use Flowdesk for my emails. So I was looking through Flowdesk to find the email that went out. And then I found it and I was like, oh, okay. So I said I was going to talk about is good standing in your way. I was like, what? So probably when I sent that email out, I was in the moment. I was like, okay, yes, this is what I want to talk about. A month later, I have no clue what I was thinking. And my husband is always like, write it down, write it down, write it down. And sometimes I do, 60% of the time I write it down. This time I didn't. So I was like, okay, well, let's just talk about good. Oh, I have someone joining me. Good morning, whoever you are on the other side that's joining. So, as I stated, I'm just going to jump in. Probably won't stay on too long because I don't really have anybody on today to kind of get active in the comments to keep the conversation flowing like we normally would. But when I thought about, morning, when I thought about, hold on, let me go to these matters so I can remember. So when I thought about good, we always hear oh, that's so good. She did really good. He was good. You're such a good, because we just got a puppy a couple months. You're such a good puppy. Good, 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 good. So I think we're conditioned to believe that good is awesome. It's wonderful. And we even when we read our word, it tells us that God is good. So we're like, okay, good has got to be where it's at. But then when I really started thinking about it, I was like, good can sometimes stand in your way. And I'm not saying you hear the phrase good maybe standing in the way of great. Do you want to be good or do you want great? Do you want good or do you want greatness? And it made me kind of think about sometimes we do allow good to be good enough. It's not that we're content or satisfied. We may actually want more, but we may be scared to let go of the good thing that we have going to find out what could be even better for us. When we think about how our lives go and how they've gone and how we've gotten to where we are, wherever we are in the stage of life, it's usually because we've been conditioned through schooling or parenting, society, culture, whatever it may be. And so, depending on those four factors and how you matriculated through them, will determine what your view of good is. So good for someone might be, okay, I was honor roll all through high school. I participated in the curriculars that I were important to me, the extracurriculars that I wanted to do, got into a good college, got a degree, got a good paying job, was able to go out, get my first place or maybe buy a home or whatever. It's get a nice car. I have a good friend group. My family loves me. Have a church that I love. I get to do activities I enjoy. And so that person may feel like, okay, I have a good life. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But is that good life causing you to be so comfortable that you get to the point where you're afraid to step outside and see if God has something else for you? So when I was a hairstylist, I mean, I loved it. I just love the camaraderie that you build with other women, that you're, like servicing basically, weekly or every 2 weeks or whatever. And you're getting to share your life, share your stories. And it it got to the point where it started to feel like work for me. Never felt like work. Because I just loved it so much. I used to love to go to the hair shows and learn new color techniques and cutting techniques. And I just fell in love with the industry itself. But then there came a time where it started to feel like work. And that's not why I quit. I quit because I got a hairline fracture in my L5 from working out. But I didn't love it anymore. But because the money was good, I had a good clientele. I was like, do I really like give all this up to pursue something else on the other side, the unknown? And I think, okay, so that's probably what the topic should be. Will good prevent you from pursuing something greater that may be unknown? And I think sometimes we get familiar with, which I guess goes hand in hand with being comfortable. I think we get familiar with the lives that we've built. And even though we may even feel a pull or a tug to go somewhere else or have something else, we don't we don't pursue it, because at least this good thing that we have, we know what it looks like, we know what it feels like, we know what it's going to produce. This even happens sometimes if you're in a situation that really might not even be all that good, but because it's familiar and it's predictable, you know what it's going to produce. So instead of you saying, so say if you're in a toxic work environment, but you know how much you're going to get paid, you have job security, you know what kind of toxicity is going to produce every week when you go and you've decided, okay, hey, they pay me enough to deal with this toxicity. Instead of saying, you know what, I believe that God can bless me to have the same salary in a non-toxic environment. You may have to search a little, you may have to start over, and there is nothing wrong with starting over. In this job economy today, there are so many people like in their 50s and 60s. Yes, the fear of losing what you already have is real. I am telling you, that is it's scary for all of us, but you know what I realized about myself, and it's probably the same for most people, but I don't want to put that on anybody else, is what I'm really saying is either I don't trust the God in me that I'm really hearing God clearly to move on to something else, or I don't have enough faith to really believe that God is going to sustain me in the same way I can sustain myself. So I think we can do good for ourselves without God. We can do good, but we can do well, or we can do be our best when it's God pushing us in the direction that we should be going. This I was watching this gentleman this week. I don't know his name. He has a podcast and he had a guest on, and I don't know his name either because I wasn't familiar with the gentleman he had on. but he said something to the effect of, mm, don't lose your train of thought, girl. Don't lose your train of thought. It'll come back to me. Because it was something along the lines of, um, I guess like us. Oh, this is not what I was thinking about, but let me tell you this what he said. Let me tell you this what he said. You won't appreciate this. He was like, so the enemy comes to us and offers us like, oh, I'll give you $1 million. No, I'm not going to serve you because I don't serve you. I serve God. Okay, I give you 5 million, 10 million, a billion. And he is like, you turn him down because you're like, no, I'm a believer. I don't serve two masters. I don't serve God and money. And I'm putting like 10 on it because he, of course, wasn't talking like this. I don't serve two masters. I don't serve God and money. And, we all will say that with our mouths. But the reality is, if we are afraid to quit a job that we hate, even, or even that's kind of good, and we feel like God is moving us out, are we serving God or are we serving the manna, I'm sorry, the mammon, the money, the job, the security, the whatever it is? Or even like if the Lord tells you to let go of something going on with your child and you're like, okay, God is like, okay, pray about it. But I don't want you to intervene. I don't want you to save the day. But you're like, this is my baby. I gotta go save the day. And God is like, I don't want you to save the day. But you're like, no, I'm going to serve my child instead of being obedient to what God is telling me to do. Like, I think there's so many things that we do that are misaligned because of the way we've been conditioned. He had even mentioned this, and I guess I'm just going to tell you. He had even mentioned this, that, and I believe it's because of the way we've been conditioned to think. So I don't think there's anything wrong with us. I just think that we didn't allow God to correct on the path. But he was talking about in that same scenario, like you turn down all these in your mind, that the devil fictitiously offered you $10 million. But like you get into debt to go to college, like if you don't get a full ride or something like that, or if your parents can't afford to pay, and then maybe you go back to get your master's, more debt. Then you get credit cards, you buy a new car, you buy a house. Like all these things are requiring loans unless you're financially well off, which can definitely be the case. But you do this. And so what he was saying was like you're servicing debt your whole life. So you're living basically to pay bills, like you're living to pay off the mortgage, pay off the car note, pay off the everything, everything. And basically the gist of it, what I took away from it was that you would have got a better deal taking the 10 million from Satan. Like you would have just got a better deal because you sold your soul for so much cheaper. You sold your soul to work and kill yourself with a job you hate to buy a bunch of stuff you really don't need. That's my takeaway. I ain't saying he said that, but that's my takeaway. And so, and I think you guys have heard me talk about this over the last few months, how the last 2 years, like that realization of debt really became real to me and my husband. And we just really dug in and really was like, we paying off all this debt. So we still have a mortgage, of course. We do still have that, but we have really learned to be content without having to upgrade everything every 3-4 years. Got to get a new car, got to do this, got to do. We have really just learned to like, what is it all for? Why are we doing this? Who like, there's nothing wrong with what we have. And so when you Rock, when you say, wow, that is my life, what part is your life? Look, which part is your life? Because it's probably all of our lives. And the thing about it is, the more that we get in our word, we have prayer time, and we really try to listen for the heartbeat of God, I do believe that he does direct our path. I don't believe that he wants us to have a completely comfortable life where you just easy living, because the uncomfortable places are what grows us up. When you're uncomfortable, it makes you move and flow in a different way. When you're uncomfortable, sometimes, well, what being uncomfortable does is it creates desperation. Now that's a two-side coin, because you can be desperate enough to do things that you thought you would never do, to make money, or to get a job, or to get into a certain school, or whatever it is. Or that desperation can push you into the face of God. So desperation is good, when it's handled appropriately. So I think God allows us to be uncomfortable so that we can, one, see what we're made of, but two, more importantly, is to push us into his presence, to push us into his faith, so that we really can, I say all the time, like, become our destiny, become what God wants us to be. But a lot of times we're very busy becoming who we think we should be, who society is telling us we should be, who our parents are telling us we should be. I had that bad when my children were growing up. I had this idea of how I wanted them to turn out, what I wanted them to be, what a successful child rearing career for me would be. And I had to really step back and realize, and I didn't realize this really till my kids were like in their 20s. I'll probably say their early 20s. And I began to see it differently. And I started telling them, it's not what me and your dad want you to be. It's not even what you want to be. Tap in and find out, what does God want you to be? What is he saying for your life? So they had to unlearn all the things that I had been feeding them these years of, oh, you need to do this, you need to do this because you want to be able to do this, you want to be able to do that. But maybe that's not what God was saying for them. Maybe that's not what he wanted for their life, but that's the vision that I had pushed on them. So we have to be very careful when we're navigating raising children, but also, like, even in our peer relationships, sometimes our advice may not be what God's best is for them. So even as I've gotten older, like, I'm very careful about what I may speak into someone's life, because I don't want to say anything that's going to be in opposition to what God may already be telling them, or what they may be experiencing, or what God may be taking them through, that from my point of view looks crazy. But God knows what he's trying to form and bring them to be. Okay, letting other things be the most important thing. So a God rather than trusting, though they become God rather than trusting God. Yes, desperation can be good to help us see what we are made of. Yes. Look, I was using my mouse, but that ain't even connected. Yes, that is so true. And so really, that's probably the gist of what I was thinking about when I was talking about, good versus anything else, good versus what God has for us. So I I know it's only been 20 minutes, right? But I could go on a rant. Like, anybody who watching this on the replay, y'all know I can go on a serious rant. But this is what I really want to kind of leave with today. To take a self-assessment, and hold on, put this back up. um that ain't even the right one. Lord, I need to get my life together. I need to get my life together. To take a self-assessment and to really ask, who are you living for? What are you living for? What is it all about for you? I know, like, when I was in my 20s, I was just like so on fire for God. Like, you couldn't tell me nothing about God. You couldn't tell me about nothing about who he was, what he couldn't do. Like, I was just on a high until like my mid 30s. And then, like, I went through like a little bit of a breakdown. Then I came back. But I feel like what I came back to was very different than my relationship before. And I am beginning to walk in a different kind of maturity now. So I'm beginning to see things a little differently. And what I think one of the most important things that we miss out on when we're so busy trying to do all the things that God never called us to is, one, that real connection with God, having the time to get in our word, to have prayer time, to get in his presence, to get direction, because we're so bogged down with the busyness of life. This is so my daughter just recently, she got laid off. So she had been working in the clinical research organization field for, I feel like, 3.5 years. She got laid off from her job last June, not this one, but 2024. She spent months, like so many applications, trying to find a job, could not find a job. Then she got a job. I feel like December 2024. I mean, and she hated it. She was so depressed. She like really like would be in tears some days. This is how awful the job was to her. So she ends up leaving the job. Couldn't find a job, couldn't find a job, couldn't find a job. So she finally took a job. Um, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks ago. Something she never could have imagined herself doing, making way less money, and she is so happy. She is enjoying it to the fullest. And so I know I talked about jobs a lot today, but really this is in any aspect of your life. Be open to what God has for you, because she is making less money, but she's not on edge. She's not stressed out. She's not depressed. Like she tells me she loves her job. She enjoys her job. She enjoys the people. And what I said to her was that sometimes it's not always about how much you're making, because if this is where God is leading you, God knows you have 2 children. He knows that you need to be able to provide and sustain a lifestyle. And I just don't believe we serve the kind of God that when we're obedient and we step out of our comfort zone and we do something we never thought we would do, I believe that God will honor that. And he will take the little and make much. Because sometimes we be making a ton of money and we be like, where did it go? And we can think back to times when we made less money and it feels like we did better, like we were doing better making less money. Then you making double your salary, you're like, where's all my money going? And this is like before inflation. I'm not even factoring in inflation. So anyway, Rock, thank you for staying on with me. I'm so glad you joined. I don't know where everybody is today, but that's okay because you were here. And like I always say, I don't care if one person shows up, I will be there for that one person. Um, yes, be open to what God has for you. Be open to what God has for you. So if you had anything, Rock, you want me to touch on before we sign off, I will be more than happy to, because I said what I was going to start doing was like have my little topic, and then I was going to open up the comments so that we can kind of discuss anything that may be going on in your life or going on in the world or going on with your kids or whatever, that we just kind of want to come, you know, together and kind of like, throw some things back and forth. You said what I needed. Okay. Then this was worth me getting up for, drinking my coffee. And I went to a writers conference. Really, they should call it a creators conference. I think it started out as a writers conference, but it's writers, podcasters, and speakers. And speakers. And I went to the conference last week, came back Sunday, and it really made me also like, this is for me too, because as you know, I have my hand in like a lot of things. I do a lot of things, right? And when I went to the conference, for first of all, it was super tiring because the it was worth the money. The schedules every day were jam packed. The workshops were amazing. The speakers were great. It was no fluff. Everything was so valuable. And then I was able to, because it was just me, at my hotel room, I was able to like spend some time with the Lord and just really like get some clear direction. So when I came back, I was like, girl, you are a writer. Quit trying to do all this other stuff. Quit trying to do all these other side things and just write and be okay with knowing that that's who God made you. And I kept thinking to myself, like, oh, like I want my writing to be able to sustain me, like how when actors move to LA and they don't have a job yet, so they're not a working actor, and then when they finally get a role, they're like, oh, I'm a working actor, because they actually don't get a paycheck. So I want to be a working author to the point where it's like a sustainable income, not like fluctuating up and down and that kind of thing. And so I was like, God, I have to trust you in my writing. So that's why when I came back, like I was like, okay, no more workshops, all the side things that I do, I have to focus on writing, because I believe that's what God is putting me and pushing me to do. And so I did the personal development book, right? But I love writing novels, but I felt like personal development will be more in line with like biblical, teaching or something like that, or pushing the word of God. But I met so many women this weekend who basically were saying like there's a gap in the Christian fiction, world, or just clean fiction that can point towards the Lord. And so that's a whole genre I guess I didn't really think about, because although my last book I wrote, How We Became, it's clean, like I don't be cussing, I don't do none of that stuff. Um, so I met with a marketing team this weekend, and they said the same thing. Like there's such a like an absentee of good Christian or good clean novels, because a lot of them tend to borderline on kind of corny, is what one of the persons has said to me. And so it was just more confirmation for me. So Rock, whatever it is you feel like the Lord is telling you to do, make sure you pray about it. Don't just make like haphazard decisions. And the things that that God is telling you, kind of shake a loose, let go. Even like things that might be a little bit painful, let them go. Let go, so that you can grab hold to what God really has for you, no matter what that may be. Whatever He has for you is for you and you alone. And if you think that like you're living like good right now, which I don't know like your life status or anything like that, but just imagine if you really follow Christ and grab a hold to what He has specifically for your life, how much better your life will be. Not without controversy, not without some uncomfortableness, but again, that's just for the growth. But just imagine what it's like to be in alignment with God's purpose for every season of your life. That's all I got. Okay, so no, I'm good. Blessed because I was open to show up today. Oh, good. I'm glad you the only one was open to show up today, girl. But I'm so glad you did. So I will not keep you any longer. Amen. Tell your story, lady. Let me grab my coffee and sit with God after we get off of here. Yes, yes. So I just pray over you right now that the Lord would just open up opportunities for you that only He has set aside for you. I pray that your quiet time, that He will meet you there, that He will open up the word and give you wisdom and give you revelation knowledge and how to make it applicable to your specific life. I pray that your light will shine, that others will see not you, but see the God in you, and try to figure out what it is, so that you will have an opportunity to point them to the Father, to point them to Christ. And I just pray that you will have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And I can't wait to see what you have to share. So come back, like as God starts moving, and let me know. Even reach out to me, email me, let me know how God is moving in your life. So I just pray that He will just continue to bless you in every area as you are obedient, as we are obedient. All right, so that is all I got. Thank you, and for those of you who hop in on the replay, I pray that this is something that will be beneficial to your life as well. So y'all know that's all what I say. That's all I got for now. Love y'all. All right, so now I can hit end the stream, and I think my outro gonna play. Let me see. Let me see.